attending schools for about 20 years as a doctor and being a teacher for what I just finished my 24th year, I've had the privilege of interacting with so many different teachers. And I've learned that teachers can either break or build students. And so I've had the privilege of interacting with both types of teachers. And when I think about and reflect on teachers who really made a difference in my life, the first person that comes to mind is my 6th grade English teacher, Sommeih Uddin. And the reason she comes to mind is because growing up in New York and New Jersey, I had the privilege of growing up in very diverse communities, but there was still a reluctance and a dislike to the growing Arab population in the 80s and the 90s. And so it felt very, very, it was hard to find home in school settings. And I think every student wants to feel like they're home in a school setting and that they belong. And I don't think I ever belonged until I got to Someih's class. And I felt like I found myself through literature, even though the characters in the books didn't look like me and didn't come from my background. She helped me find commonality in my struggle with identity, in my kind of experiences as the daughter of refugees, and in the immigrant experience as somebody who was trying to figure out their place in the world. And so I connected to a lot of characters in the books, and I think I also found the power of language in her classroom. She's the reason I am an English teacher. I think that one of the goals that I set for myself as a young teacher was that I wanted every student who walked into my classroom space to really feel like they can find themselves in my classroom if they felt like they didn't belong anywhere else. And so that's been something that I've been very intentional about, and I think I owe that to her. The second teacher that I want to highlight would be my grandpa, Hasan Jaber. And although my grandpa didn't finish school past 5th grade because he was a refugee and grew up in Palestine in 1948 during the war and had to drop out of school as a result of the war, he taught me that my liberation was in my literacy and in my education. And so my most fond memories of him as a child, in every space that he occupied, he drilled in us the importance of our education. He drilled in us the importance of preserving our own history. He drilled in us the importance of really understanding the value of not just having knowledge of who you are and your own people and your own history, but really having a global knowledge and understanding everything beyond your own scope. And so I think he planted the seed for me to have this thirst for education and continuing my education. So I often joke that even though I have a doctorate, I think I want to go back to school and get a second doctorate. And that I always attribute that knowledge and the teaching to my grandpa because he's the reason that education is such an important factor in my own life.